Welcome back to the Culture of Currency, where today we're talking a pretty unfortunate tale, but how metals here helped save somebody that I met and talked with not too long ago, just a couple of days ago. Basically, this is the situation. Their house at 3 a.m. caught on fire. There was an electrical fire, and it was a complete loss. Everything gone. All of their memories, all of their tokens of their life up to this point basically just burned to the ground. And there was a little bit of solace in the fact that precious metals were a part of their life. So basically, 3 a.m. roughly is the time the house caught on fire. Everything eventually went up in flames. This was an older home, so there was a lot of flammable material just in the building alone. But as that house burned down, the fire responded. But this is out in the rural area of Texas, so they did not have a fire hydrant to pump up to the trucks. So basically they had to have a convoy of trucks that would come with hoses and unload all the gallons that are in the truck, and then they'd go to neighboring reservoirs to refill and then come back to the house to try to stop the spread of the fire, as well as to try to stop the house from being a complete loss. Unfortunately, it was. So I saw pictures of the aftermath and all that kind of stuff, and I did see a safe, and I asked about the safe, said, hey, how did the safe do? Did that protect all of your stuff in there? It was not a fire-rated safe. So there are safes that are rated for fires that will, let's say, hold the documents inside of the safe, like paper, for example, up to a couple of hours. Some of them are only for 30 minutes. But, a couple hours is the highest I've seen. Well, this fire was burning from 3 a.m. till, 10 a.m. the next morning, which is, a long time. But in that safe, all of the paper was gone. All of the stacked cash gone. But there were ounces of precious metals, gold. And in fact, that is one of the reasons that this family is doing okay. So they are moved in with some neighbors, and their local church did what churches are supposed to do, which is to protect their sheep. So they came in mass and said, what are your needs? How can we help? Gave gift cards and everything that family needs at this time, which is exactly what you should see as a community, a church coming in and saying, hey, times are tough. How can we help? But it is very, very nice knowing that they could just pick up some precious metals from the rubble, from the leftover carnage that they just experienced, and then immediately in an hour get cash for that as they drive to a local merchant that does gold and silver. And that really did protect them quite well. So they had, enough in gold to sustain them for some time. I don't know what the exact amount is, but I'm assuming around 100 ounces or so, as the grandfather had been buying gold since who knows when, the 70s or 80s, which I bet all of us wish we had bought some gold back then when it was fairly cheap. But that being said, it's just a tale that I didn't even think about. I always, we talk about what it can do with inflation and all this, how this preserves wealth. But I never even thought about the idea that in a fire, in a complete loss where all paper is gone, these are still 3 nines pure, even if they melt, right? So let's say you had a ridiculous fire and it melts this bar into a puddle. Well, I can pick that puddle off the ground, go to a coin shop or a silver or gold seller and say, here, this is what this is. They can test on their Sigma machine, and then you're squared away. So the idea that the unthinkable happened, the most horrendous thing a home can go through happened, and yet it didn't stop them. It's a big pause. It's a big reflect moment. It's a big bump in the road. But because they had gold laying around, I don't know if they had silver. Gold is the thing that they talked about. Because they had gold laying around, they were actually able to, within a couple hours, pick themselves up by their bootstraps and figure out what the path forward should be. I can't imagine the situation, the devastation, the loss of all of your memories, at least the tangible ones. You obviously have them in your mind still. There's 3 generations in that home. There's grandparents, there's the parents and the kids. But yeah, just like that, gone. And yet, because of metals, they're able to move forward. So I thought that was a cool story. I thought it was worth bringing to you. Definitely is a reflection point for me as I'm moving forward. I don't have any gold, and with what I do, it's $100 a month. Not likely that I'll be buying gold, but I at least know that all the silver I have accrued is basically going to be okay if a situation like that arises. Heaven forbid it happens to me, you, anyone anyone in the world really. But if you do have a couple ounces of gold laying around, you at least know you have fire protection. If nothing else, you can get by, on a ounce of gold for a couple of weeks at least to figure out what needs to happen. Because the insurance companies, for example, will take time to actuate the damage and figure out exactly whose fault it was, if they're going to cover it, if they're not. That's a time thing. And in that time, you could feel helpless. And so maybe that will help a little bit. But thought I'd bring that story to you. It opened my eyes a bit. Maybe it'll open yours. But thought that was an interesting thing that I have never heard of, is gold being the protectorate in a fire situation. So thank you so much. And as always, please remember to stay classy and current with the culture of currency.